The golden age of Hollywood, roughly from the 1920s to the early 1960s, was a time of glamour and mystique, but behind the scenes, many stars grappled with personal demons and secret addictions. Due to strict studio control, publicists, and powerful non-disclosure tactics, these issues were often hidden from fans. Here's a look at some of the lesser-known or long-concealed addictions of famous actors from that era. Judy Garland, famous for her role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, faced some of the most troubling struggles. From a young age, MGM Studios gave her amphetamines to boost energy and barbiturates to help her sleep, aiming to keep her performing under grueling schedules. What started as a way to maintain her demanding workload quickly spiraled into dependency. These prescription drugs contributed to lifelong battles with addiction, severe insomnia, and emotional instability. Garland's vulnerability was masked by her dazzling performances, but off-screen, she suffered deeply. Her story is a stark example of how the pressures and exploitation within the studio system often led to tragic personal costs for stars. Despite her struggles, Garland remains a beloved icon whose talent shone through the darkness of her hidden pain. Errol Flynn, the charismatic star known for swashbuckling roles in films like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, was also infamous for his hard-living lifestyle. Behind the charm and on-screen bravado, Flynn struggled with serious addictions. He frequently abused alcohol, morphine, and cocaine, which fueled his reputation as one of Hollywood's most notorious party animals. His substance use wasn't just recreational, it was often a way to cope with personal and legal troubles that followed him throughout his career. Flynn's heavy drinking and drug use led to erratic behavior, affecting both his professional reputation and personal life. Despite his wild lifestyle, Flynn remained a beloved figure in Hollywood. Though his addictions eventually took a toll on his health and longevity. His story is a vivid example of how the pressures of fame, combined with a desire to escape reality, drove many Golden Age actors down dangerous paths. Flynn's legacy is a mix of thrilling adventure and tragic excess. Marilyn Monroe, one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, hid a painful secret beneath her glamorous image. Despite her radiant on-screen presence, Monroe struggled with severe anxiety and chronic insomnia, which led her to rely heavily on sleeping pills and barbiturates. These prescription drugs were meant to help her manage the intense pressures of fame and her personal emotional struggles, but they quickly became a dangerous addiction. Monroe's dependence on this cocktail of pills and alcohol contributed to her fragile mental and physical state. Over time, her health deteriorated, and her erratic behavior increased, worrying those close to her. Her tragic and mysterious death in 1962 was widely attributed to an overdose of these substances, sparking decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. Monroe's story highlights the dark side of Hollywood's golden age, where the pressures to maintain a perfect image often masked deep suffering and self-destructive habits. Despite her struggles, Monroe remains a timeless symbol of beauty and vulnerability, forever etched in cultural history. Montgomery Clift, one of Hollywood's most talented actors, faced a tragic battle with addiction after a serious car accident in 1956. The crash left him with severe facial injuries and chronic pain, for which he was prescribed strong painkillers. Unfortunately, Clift became dependent on these medications, combining them with alcohol to cope with both physical pain and emotional struggles. His addiction gradually affected not only his health but also his career. Once known for his intense and captivating performances, Clift's appearance changed noticeably, and his ability to work consistently suffered. Despite his immense talent and dedication, the pressures of addiction strained his personal relationships and contributed to a decline in his professional life. Clift's struggles remained largely private during his lifetime, hidden from the public by the era's culture of secrecy around such issues. His untimely death in 1966 at just 45 years old was linked to complications related to his substance abuse. Montgomery Clift's story is a poignant reminder of the hidden costs behind Hollywood's golden age glamour. Tula Bankhead was a legendary stage and film actress known for her distinctive husky voice and sharp wit. Behind her glamorous public persona, she lived a famously hedonistic lifestyle marked by secret struggles with addiction. Bankhead's excessive use of drugs and alcohol was well known within Hollywood circles, though rarely discussed openly due to the era's strict studio control and social taboos. Her substance abuse often went hand in hand with her compulsive sexual behavior, which fueled rumors and gossip but was carefully managed by her publicists. Despite her personal challenges, Bankhead maintained a successful career, captivating audiences with her bold performances and magnetic presence. However, her addictions took a heavy toll on her health and relationships over time. Tallulah's story reflects the darker side of the golden age of Hollywood, a time when many stars hid their vulnerabilities behind a mask of glamour, often at great personal cost. Her life remains a fascinating example of the era's complex mix of talent, fame, and private turmoil. Bela Lugosi, best known for his iconic role as Dracula, faced a difficult battle with addiction later in his career. After developing sciatica, a painful nerve condition, Lugosi was prescribed morphine to manage his pain. Unfortunately, he became addicted to the drug, which severely impacted his health and professional life. His morphine dependency led to a decline in the quality of his performances and limited the roles he could take. Despite these challenges, Lugosi was one of the first actors of his time to openly acknowledge his addiction, breaking the Hollywood taboo of secrecy around such struggles. He sought treatment in an era when support for addiction was limited and stigma was high. Lugosi's openness about his addiction helped raise awareness, though it wasn't enough to fully restore his career. He remains a legendary figure in film history, remembered both for his unforgettable portrayal of Dracula and his courageous fight against addiction during Hollywood's golden age. Robert Walker, best known for his chilling performance in Strangers on a Train, struggled privately with severe alcoholism. His addiction was complicated by ongoing mental health issues and the emotional toll of a difficult divorce from actress Jennifer Jones. Walker's drinking became increasingly problematic, affecting both his personal and professional life. His erratic behavior on and off set raised concerns among colleagues, though the full extent of his struggles remained largely hidden from the public due to the era's stigma around addiction. Despite his talent and rising career, Walker's dependency on alcohol took a serious toll on his health. Tragically, his life was cut short at the age of 32 due to a fatal heart attack, which was believed to be linked to his alcoholism. Walker's story highlights the dark realities many Golden Age Hollywood stars faced behind the scenes, dealing with addiction and emotional pain while maintaining a polished public image. His legacy remains as a reminder of the personal battles often masked by fame and success. Jean Harlo, one of Hollywood's first great sex symbols, faced personal struggles that were less publicly known during her career. While not as extensively documented as some of her peers, it is believed that Harlo struggled with alcohol and body image issues. The intense pressure from studios to maintain a specific look pushed many actresses, including Harlo, toward unhealthy habits. In an era when appearance was everything, maintaining a slender figure was often linked to career success, leading to food disorders and other dangerous behaviors. Harlo's glamorous image masked these private battles, as the studio system tightly controlled stars' public personas. Despite her fame and success, these hidden struggles likely affected her health and well-being. Tragically, Harlo died young at age 26, leaving behind a legacy of beauty and talent shadowed by the challenges she endured behind the scenes. Her story reflects the darker realities many actresses faced in Hollywood's golden age, caught between the demands of fame and their personal vulnerabilities. Spencer Tracy's struggle with alcoholism was a well-known but quietly accepted reality in Hollywood. Though he achieved immense success and critical acclaim, his heavy drinking often cast a shadow over both his personal and professional life. Tracy's dependence on alcohol began early in his career and intensified over the years, sometimes affecting his work on set and contributing to mood swings and unpredictability. Studios frequently covered for his absences and behavior, recognizing his immense talent but also his volatility. His long-term relationship with Katharine Hepburn, one of the most iconic partnerships in Hollywood history, was deeply affected by his alcoholism. Hepburn often acted as a stabilizing force, providing support while enduring the emotional toll of his drinking. Despite these struggles, Tracy delivered powerful performances, and his brilliance as an actor remained undeniable. Yet behind the scenes, his addiction weighed heavily on him, contributing to health issues and personal turmoil. Tracy's story is a poignant reminder of how personal demons can coexist with professional triumphs, and how the glamour of fame often conceals deeper pain. Ava Gardner, celebrated for her stunning beauty and magnetic screen presence, led a life filled with glamour, passion, and personal turmoil. Behind her confident image was a woman often struggling with heartbreak and the pressures of fame. Her high-profile relationships, particularly her marriages to Mickey Rooney, Artie Shaw, and Frank Sinatra, were frequently stormy and emotionally draining. As her personal life grew more complicated, Gardner increasingly turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism. Drinking became a way to escape the emotional fallout of failed romances and the relentless scrutiny of Hollywood. While she remained a captivating actress throughout much of her career, her dependence on alcohol deepened, especially in later years. As roles became scarcer and health issues emerged, her drinking escalated, contributing to a decline in both her physical well-being and professional momentum. Despite her struggles, Gardner remained a figure of intrigue and resilience, never losing the fierce independence that defined her. Her battle with alcohol reflects the hidden pain that often accompanied the lives of classic Hollywood icons, where fame offered little protection from personal demons. Elizabeth Taylor, a legendary actress known for her beauty, talent, and turbulent personal life, battled a long and complex addiction to prescription drugs and alcohol. Her substance use reportedly began in the 1960s, as she coped with chronic physical pain, numerous surgeries, emotional trauma, and the pressures of fame. She was frequently prescribed painkillers, sleeping pills, and tranquilizers, common in Hollywood at the time. Without much oversight. As her dependency deepened, it began to impact both her health and her relationships. Taylor's struggles were compounded by highly publicized marriages and personal tragedies, which further fueled her reliance on substances as a coping mechanism. By the 1980s, her addiction became difficult to hide, prompting her to take a bold and unprecedented step, voluntarily checking into the Betty Ford Center. This made her one of the first major celebrities to publicly seek treatment for addiction. Her openness helped challenge the stigma around rehab and addiction, paving the way for future stars to seek help. Elizabeth Taylor's legacy includes not only her iconic roles but her bravery in confronting a hidden struggle. Rita Hworth, one of the most iconic actresses of the 1940s, captivated audiences with her sultry performance in Gilda and became a global sex symbol. However, behind her glamorous screen image was a woman plagued by deep personal struggles and a growing dependence on alcohol. Her famous quote, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but they wake up with me," poignantly captured the disconnect between her public persona and private identity. Hworth's life was marked by a series of unhappy marriages, emotional abuse, and career pressures that left her feeling isolated and misunderstood. As her star began to fade in the 1950s, her drinking worsened. She often appeared unreliable on set, and her behavior was frequently dismissed as difficult. Masking the reality of her addiction and mental health challenges, her alcoholism remained largely hidden from the public until later in life, when symptoms of what was initially believed to be chronic drinking were ultimately diagnosed as early-onset Alzheimer's disease. Rita Hworth's legacy remains bittersweet, a symbol of Hollywood glamour and the heavy toll fame can exact behind closed doors. William Holden, one of Hollywood's most respected leading men, rose to fame with powerful performances in films like Sunset Boulevard, Stalag 17, and The Bridge on the River Kwai. While he projected a suave, controlled image on screen, Holden privately struggled with a long-term addiction to alcohol. Friends and colleagues noted his charm and professionalism, but also recalled episodes of heavy drinking and increasingly erratic behavior in his personal life. As his career progressed, Holden's alcoholism became more difficult to conceal. Though he continued to work, alcohol took a toll on both his physical health and relationships. He reportedly used alcohol to cope with the pressures of fame, personal dissatisfaction, and aging in an industry obsessed with youth. Tragically, his addiction played a direct role in his death. In 1981, Holden fell and struck his head while intoxicated at his home. He did not seek help and was found dead days later. His death shocked the public and served as a grim reminder of how substance abuse, even when hidden from the spotlight, can have devastating consequences, even for Hollywood legends. Barbara Peyton, alcohol and drug addiction. Barbara Peyton was a rising star in the early 1950s, celebrated for her beauty and magnetic screen presence in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye opposite James Cagney. However, her promising career spiraled rapidly due to severe addiction to alcohol and drugs, compounded by a turbulent personal life filled with scandal and abusive relationships. Initially groomed by studios as a leading lady, Peyton's off-screen behavior soon overshadowed her talent. She became infamous for a highly publicized love triangle that led to violence, tabloid headlines, and a damaged reputation. As her roles dwindled, she turned increasingly to alcohol and eventually heroin. Unable to cope with the loss of fame and personal turmoil, by the early 1960s, Peyton had been blacklisted by Hollywood. She was arrested multiple times, struggled with poverty, and resorted to sex work to survive. In 1963, she published a brutally honest autobiography detailing her rise and fall, but by then her health was in steep decline. She died in 1967 at just 39 years old, a tragic example of Hollywood's dark side and its failure to protect its vulnerable stars. Mickey Rooney was one of Hollywood's earliest and most enduring child stars. Rising to fame through the Andy Hardy films and earning acclaim in Babes in Arms and National Velvet, Rooney had a career that spanned 9 decades. Yet behind his cheerful on-screen persona was a life marked by addiction, personal turmoil, and financial ruin. Rooney began acting as a toddler and became one of MGM's highest-paid stars by his teens. The intense pressure to remain successful and likable led him to rely on prescription drugs, especially amphetamines and sleeping pills, often administered by studio doctors to keep him working at an exhausting pace. As his star faded, Rooney developed a severe gambling addiction. Losing millions at racetracks and casinos over the years, despite making a fortune during his career, Rooney declared bankruptcy more than once. He was married 8 times, struggled with unstable relationships, and alleged elder abuse late in life. Still, he continued working into his 90s, a testament to his resilience. Rooney's life illustrates the heavy emotional cost of lifelong fame and the hidden struggles many child stars face as they grow up in the spotlight.